afraid, got nothing to lose. Living life with nothing to prove. I'm gonna be a better version of me.
What's going on, folks? It's your boy here again, Dr. Thomas in the building for episode 35 of the Be More Today show. We are back in the building. And folks, I gotta say thank you. It's been a crazy ride. We have 35 episodes in. We got 5 more for the season to end. And I gotta thank you for all your support. We've hit 2,000 downloads. We've come such a long way. We're in 26 countries right now, and it's all thanks to you and your support. So I appreciate you guys, the Be More Today family, BMT friends and family. You guys rock. You guys rock. I appreciate all you guys so much. And if you have not already heard, I'm super excited for our Be More Today challenge for 2021 called the New Year, New You. We're going to do a 5K January 1st. That's right, New Year's Day. We're going to do a virtual 5K to start off the year with principles from my book. So if you haven't heard about it, you're hearing about it again right now. I mentioned it last week, but we're going to do basically a 40-day challenge talking about healthy eating, drinking your water, getting your sleep, getting your exercise in. Make sure that you make the first 40 days of 2021 better than how you started, because 2020, as we know, was all kinds of crazy. So we want to start 2021 on a good note. But we'll talk more about that as we continue to move forward. Check out our Be More Today page for information on that as well. And my quote for today, folks, is simple as always. It says, "Life is like a camera. Just focus on what's important and capture the good times. Develop from the negatives, and if things don't work out, just take another shot." I don't know about you guys, but I know 2020 was and has been insane. And if you think that things did not go the way you wanted them to go this year, if you know you had aspirations, dreams, and hopes and plans that did not pan out well, 2021 is going to be that year for us to really make sure that we are more, that we do what we said we wanted to do, hopefully without all the distractions of this year, because this year was insane. So many things happened, and the list goes on and on and on. But just like a camera taking a shot, you focus on the good times. There were a lot of things happened that were good this year. And the negatives, they are what they are, right? We can't harp on those things. We got to move forward at all costs. And I think about pictures because pictures really are timestamps. I go through my albums every now and then, for those of you guys who know what albums are, because, everything's digital now. But yes, we have albums still that have pictures. And I go through mine from high school and from college and from middle school and grade school, whatever. And I remember all these moments that really, when I look at them, it's like music. They bring back thoughts to your memory instantaneously. You remember where you were and how you felt and what was going on. So pictures are that thing that can really be a snapshot for our history and can take you from where you were to where you want to be. So I'm looking forward to making some good snapshots in 2021, making some new memories in 2021, and I hope you guys are too. So stay encouraged. That's probably the word for today. Stay encouraged, and let's make sure that we make the next part of our life, as our man T. Farrell says, the best part of our lives. My guest for today, folks, embodies that concept. He is the man behind the camera at all times, and he does not ever disappoint. His name is David Francis. Now, David Francis was born in TNT, Trinidad and Tobago, and immigrated to the U.S. at the age of 6. He began taking snapshots around 8 years of age, partly to keep himself occupied, but mostly because he couldn't draw very well, unlike his older brother, and he desperately needed a creative outlet for his energies. He has always been attracted to color, form, and different cultures, and excitedly perused the Life, Time, and National Geographic magazines that his father collected in the bookcases around his small Brooklyn, New York City apartment. His photographic eye was developed by looking at thousands of images contained in those magazines. Now, as he grew up, he combined his love for photography and love of travel to document his journeys and share his experiences with families and friends via the photos he brought back. The sheer excitement of getting the film developed and the surprise of what was captured was the fuel for his continued excursions. He joined the digital age in 2009 and strives to capture nature in all of its forms and the natural expressions of people as they experience life from day to day. He believes that he was given a gift, and he happily shares that gift with all who want to participate in the journey with him. He will continue to look for opportunities to make time stand still and to share those moments with you. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, pets included, please welcome to the stage the founder of David Francis Photography, my guy, David Francis. David, what is going on?
What's going on? Everything is good. Thank you for having me on your podcast.
David Francis, you and I go way back. I'm rocking my Spartan shirt today. I don't know if you realize that. I'm rocking my Spartan trifecta shirt.
I thought about rocking mine, but I brought this instead.
There you go. There's the medal. Folks, we did the Spartan race together for the first time in 2012. And I got to say, we didn't know what we were doing, what we were getting into. It was an experience nonetheless. And ever since then, David, you and I have connected from Spartan to when I was doing my Fit for You NYC classes downtown Brooklyn. You were a steady member of my classes, and I thoroughly appreciate all of your work. I mean, you travel everywhere doing pictures, but you taking time out to travel with us even to West Virginia a couple of years ago when you were our photographer for that entire weekend, which was incredible. I mean, you are a gem, and to really see the progression of your work, to see the amazing things you've done. I mean, you're at my book launch, so I really appreciate you being there and capturing that moment for me. You are a part of what Be More Today is. You've been on the journey from, even before Be More Today, from Fit for You NYC to this. You've been there the entire time, so you've seen the progression, and you're part of my history. You're part of my journey. So I really had to have you on the show before the year was over, and I'm just grateful that you're on the show today.
Well, I appreciate that.
So how are you doing? What's going on with you? And I always ask, with COVID-19 and everything that's happening in the world, how are you doing?
I'm doing well today. If I've learned anything, it's to take it one day at a time. It's been challenging, as it has been for all of us. But I'm learning to celebrate the good days. So today is a great day, and I'm going to revel in that.
Yeah, and I hear that. I hear that. Now, David Francis, I know you're a man of many talents. I'm very curious because I've known you as a photographer, but I know you weren't always a photographer. So what was the journey to get here and to begin David Francis Photography?
Wow. I think I've always liked to take pictures. So that's going back for a long time. But in terms of professional photography, I think around 2009 is when I was actually nursing a broken heart and pleaded with God to show me a way to occupy my time and my talents. And I saw my camera collecting dust on a shelf, and that was the answer to my prayer. That's when I started to get into photography a little more seriously and to study photographers and photography. And it's just been a series of events since then, leading up to today.
Wow. So who have you studied and what was that journey like? Who are you following? Who were your mentors, if you will? Who'd you follow?
I studied more photography than photographers. But one of the first ones that I was attracted to, because I would go into bookstores and see these big coffee table books of Ansel Adams. And I just fell in love with his style of photography. At the time, I didn't know who he was in terms of pretty much being the father of modern day photography as it has evolved. And then along the way, I just started noticing other photographers, and whenever someone would reference a photographer that they admired, then I would go and look up that photographer and his work. So it just has been a steady progression of learning from different people. And it continues. Every time I get an opportunity, I see some photographer that I like, whose work I like. Then I find out if they do workshops. And that's kind of how it started. About 2013 or so, I started doing travel workshops with different photographers. And every year I try to do something. This year has been a little bit strange, but I did manage to do at least one in the Adirondacks at the end of September. Wow.
Now, I've seen your work. I'm always in awe of it. Actually, you gave me some work a couple of years ago, and I still have it in our house or our apartment. And I'm always fascinated by how you pick certain things and the eye you have and the way that you capture certain moments that other people just haven't done so far. I'm curious though, because I know that photography for some can pay the bills and some it cannot. So what has been the way that you've helped to drive this passion of yours? Since you weren't always a photographer, in terms of jobs you've done, or what that looked like in terms of you doing your passion and also doing what you had to do to pay the bills.
Well, fortunately, I don't depend on photography to pay the bills. I do have a regular job that I am grateful for, especially nowadays that I can work from home and still be productive. But photography is my passion, right? So specifically nature and landscape photography now, which is probably what I'm known for most. But I do other jobs as well in terms of paid photography, different events and so on. And right now I have to give a shout out to Corinne St. Jean of Spectacular Affairs, because way back when, she was the first person to hire me to shoot an event, even before I knew that I could. I don't know exactly what she saw, but she took a chance and she has been recommending me since then. And that has fueled the word of mouth from Corinne and from the people that I've shot after her, has been the fuel for different events and different jobs that I've gotten since then. And it just has spread, and people call me and inquire whether I can participate in their event by being their photographer. And so I give a big shout out to her.
Yeah, I know Corinne. She's a mastermind when it comes to events. So the fact that she saw something in you is very telling. Is that the beginning of what has now become Dear Friends of Photography? Is that when it all started?
That's when it all started. Up until then, I was basically taking pictures of flowers and stuff like that, and mostly I do the nature and landscape photography to feed my soul, because I was going through a lot of internal strife about different events and things in life, and being out in nature was healing me from the inside out. So I do that to feed my soul, and I do the events to feed my belly when I need to.
I hear that. So I know you're from TNT. It's one of the places I have not been to yet, and I do hope when COVID-19 goes away, finally I can travel to the awesome islands of TNT, Trinidad and Tobago. But being that you're from there, and now that you are clearly Americanized, if you will, to an extent, right?
Yeah.
I know that photographers, just like other artists, see the world in various ways, right? Do you think that cultural heritage, mixed with what you've learned here or have groomed here as an American, has that changed or sculpted your view of how you see things when you take pictures in photography? Is that something that is a part of your photo style? I know you mentioned you do a lot of nature things, but I'm just curious in terms of how you just take pictures of people and other things. Does that in any way, shape, or form your perspective as a photographer?
It certainly has affected my background in terms of loving nature. I mean, when you come from a hot island, being outside is you just get accustomed to it, because, you don't have to worry about the cold or snow or anything. So that certainly has affected me. But in terms of my photography, I think what has affected me more is trying to represent God in nature, right? And also when I do events, or when I do a maternity session or a family portrait session, my goal is to capture the God in people as well as in nature. So that is what really fuels me, capturing those moments that represent the God that I know and that has revealed himself through nature to me. So
that's powerful. Yeah, I never really thought about it that way, but you saying it and looking at the pictures you've done, I mean, I'm going to have hopefully a lot of pictures to put on our site so people can see the work you've done. But the pictures you've taken, David, have just been spectacular. And I'm always curious how you get a chance to travel to these places, because I'm like, I've been to a couple places, but David, you've been everywhere. You've been everywhere. Whenever I look at you, I'm like, oh, okay, now he's in Africa. Okay, now he's in Ireland. Okay, cool. But you've been everywhere taking these pictures. And I'm curious, how do you do it? How do you get a chance to go to these places? How are you making this work? And how are you doing it so successfully?
Well, I wish I had a great answer for that, but the honest truth is, I don't know. I think I purpose in my heart to make sacrifices to be able to allow me to travel.
Yeah.
Certainly my job, I work for the city, so I get a lot of vacation time, which is great. And I just budget and I plan out what I want to do and where I want to go. I've had to make a lot of sacrifices over the years in order to do that. So in order to travel, I had to give up buying new clothes all the time, which is another thing that I love to do. You know, in order to travel, I had to keep my car for 17 plus years, my old car, you know, and just had to maintain it because I couldn't afford to do everything that I wanted to do.
Right.
But because I set my priorities in terms of travel and photography, I made sure to carve out the time and the money to do that first. That was my self-care. That was my healing. So that's what I needed. And because I love different people, different cultures, different food, these are just part of my experiences of growth and learning.
Well, I'm fascinated by that. And, you know, it just bodes with the Be More Today concept of you do what you have to do to get what you want to get done. And you've done that. And, you know, in a life where we get so bogged down by the 9 to 5s, it's always good to see when people are doing whatever it takes to make themselves happy, and to find that inner God, the inner growth, the inner drive, you know, that fulfillment. Because, you know, even with physical therapy, we do PT all day, you know, but does that become my passion? No. You know, I really find more passion in these kind of things, and working out and fitness and seeing people surpass their goals. It's part of my passion. It's part of that thing, but it's not the driving force, you know. It's not the thing I'm like, oh, if I did this for the rest of my life, I'd be okay. Yeah, you know, it's good. I feel good doing it. It doesn't feel like work, but that fulfillment with your passion is something that you can't put a price tag on. I know if you're like me, you would take pictures all day, all the time with no problem. Yeah, so that's when you know that you're where you need to be, which is fantastic. David, we have a segment called Community Over Competition. It's a segment that we introduced earlier this year. We try to bring on people who are like-minded, people who are aspiring to be where our guest is. And this guest actually is no stranger to me. Her name is Jaleesa Watts. She is an aspiring photographer and also a coworker of mine. She actually did my initial book launch. She was my photographer. And, nice. You know, I saw some of her work, but I brought her on because, you know, I said, you have an eye and I want to support whatever you're trying to do. So she may be a future you or the first her, you know, we never know. Nice. But this time I want to introduce Jaleesa Watts. Jaleesa, are you on the line?
Yeah, hello. How are you? I'm
good. What's going on?
Nothing much. Thanks for having me.
No problem. I'm happy that you can meet our guest for today, David Francis, who's on the line as well.
Hi, Jaleesa.
I just wanted to say just a couple words about who you are and talk a little bit about your photography work.
Okay. Hi, my name is Jaleesa. I'm 22. I am a physical therapist aide, but as you said, my passion is photography. I recently started a business called Jaleesa Watts Photography. And it's different because, as David said before, I kind of started out doing street photography, just random, because, you know, that's what I liked. But then someone told me, you know, you should take this a little more seriously, and because you're good. So I thought about it for a little bit, and I took, you know, the little bit of money I was making to buy a camera, and I started shooting friends. And then, you know, as I got a little more experienced, I started shooting like models, you know, because they would want more content, and I would want more content. So we're, having an exchange for Instagram and social media and stuff. So it hasn't been too long that I've started with business, but I've been doing photography for about 2 years outside.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I wanted you guys to talk, actually, because I know, Jay, you have a lot of questions for David Francis, and he has a lot of experience. So it'd be nice if you can ask him some questions that you may have on your mind.
Right. So one question I came up with was, how did you know your worth at the beginning of your photography journey in terms of business, with how you charge your clients?
That's a very good question. And in the beginning, I did not know my worth, right? I was just shooting for practice sake. But then when people started telling me that my photography was worth something, then I had to determine how much value I wanted to put on it. And basically what I did was look at photographers and photographers' work and see how much they were charging. And I basically priced myself in the middle, knowing that I didn't have enough experience to charge the highest amount, but
Right.
I had a great eye, so I wasn't going to charge the lowest amount either. But you kind of have to find your way somewhere in the middle there until you start getting more opportunities for people paying the price that you charge.
Right.
And then you might have to raise your price. If it gets to the point where you have so many opportunities and not enough time to do it, then that's probably the point where you have to raise your price.
Right.
It's basically supply and demand. So if there's too much demand and not enough time to supply, then you raise your price to cut down on the demand, but you make more money on the jobs that you do take.
Okay. Well,
it's not an easy thing, by the way. I'm not saying it's as easy as that, but you kind of have to go back and forth for a while until you figure out, what it is that you want to charge.
Right. Because that's where I am right now. I just got started with business. And I have been getting clients, during the summer, was when I started taking clients. And I had to ask myself, what am I going to charge these people? Because I just started, and, I can't charge, like you said, a whole bunch of money, and, I'm just an amateur. So that's why I asked that question. Another question I have is, well, you've already answered this question with the landscape photography, but I asked, what type of photography do you specialize in / passionate about the most? And how did you come to decide that it was what you wanted to specialize in?
Well, yes, I did mention that landscape and nature photography is what feeds my soul. I haven't decided as yet what my favorite genre in photography is. I remember going to a seminar years ago, and one of the things that they said was to specialize in some particular niche. And I thought that, for me, that was bad advice. And I determined to prove them wrong, because I said, there's so many things that I like, whether it's newborn sessions, whether it's family portraits, whether it's nature and landscapes, whether it's events, all of those things I love to do. So I'm not going to specialize in any one. I'm going to be the best that I can be at each of them at different points in time, because the skills transfer. It's not like they're mutually exclusive. The skills that you learn in each genre can apply to other genres as well. It's just the amount of time that you're willing to devote to each one to become better at them, because they each have their different things as well that you have to learn. So
Okay. The last question I had is so simple, but not that simple, but it was, what is your why? Which I think you kind of already answered as well. But if you could maybe elaborate a little more.
Certainly. The why, because I have to. Especially these days, when there's so much sadness, when there's so much death, when there's so many bad things happening constantly, you kind of have to find the thing that makes you the happiest, right? You have to plan to do things that get you some type of balance in your life.
Right.
And if it wasn't for photography, and I will segue back for a second to give Sean a shout out actually, because the physical aspects of the journey are definitely related to the photography as well, because the same high that you get when you're running is the same high that I get when I'm training, and the same high that I get when I'm out doing photographs, right? There is something to that. So it's that internal spirit that drives you to continue to do what it is that makes you happiest.
I definitely can agree with that. A shoot I did in the summer, I went to Williamsburg, to this little area. It's had like a abandoned train track area, and I was doing a shoot. And after that shoot, when I was editing the pictures, I was just like, man, like, I actually really love doing this. like it doesn't feel the same when you're at work. It doesn't feel the same, even though, yes, like I like the patience, I like, fitness, as Sean said, but what I was feeling in that moment, it was just like, I need to take this seriously, because it makes me feel alive. And
Yes.
I could definitely relate with what you're saying. So totally. That was my last question. If I think of any more,
Awesome.
Fire away.
Jay, I want you to stay on the line with us, because you're going to be my co-host for the rest of this show today. Is that cool?
Yeah, it's totally cool.
Cool. So, David, I thank you so much, Jay, for asking those questions. I think it's always better when like-minded people are connecting. And although I have a camera phone, I'm not a photographer. You know what I mean? So, but on that note, I'm curious, and maybe each of you can give me your answers on this. When it comes to photography nowadays, everyone literally has a camera, right? Back in the days, you had to have a special camera, and it was very pricey, and not everyone had access to those things. I remember using a point-and-shoot camera, Kodak cameras, and digital cameras, and all these things. Even my mom had a camera that I still use to this day. But everyone has a camera now, these camera phones and what have you, and everyone's a photographer in their mind, right? Or videographer in their mind. So how do you stay relevant when everyone thinks that they can do what you guys are doing? And when everyone has the accessibility to camera phones and things of that nature? I'll ask David this question first.
All right. For me, it's not about staying relevant. Personally, is for me about staying productive. It's about my growth. I'm not comparing myself to anyone else's position or what they want to do. And I'm actually flattered if people are inspired by what I do. If they want to do it, join the club. There's enough for all of us. It's not competition. It's just growing. It's just doing what you love and trying to become better at it as time goes on. So, everybody has feet, but everybody can't run a marathon. Everybody's not going to devote hours and hours of time to learning about photography. Everybody's not going to devote money into equipment. Everybody's just not going to do it. But the ones who want to do it, come on, let's go.
That's true. There are levels to this thing. So that is, I think, the dividing factor. Jay, what do you think?
I totally agree. It's not a competition, but photography is definitely something everyone is starting to do, and I'm noticing it. And before I even really got into it too seriously, a few people did ask, like, you should know which type of photography you want to do, because or find a certain place in photography that a lot of people don't do because you don't want to be like in a crowd, in a sense. Like, say for instance, everyone is doing event photography, which is very popular. You don't want to be struggling in that area. You might as well find something that a lot of people aren't doing, so people will need you more, you know? And I was just like, that sounds like good advice, but if event photography is what I want to do, that's what I'm going to do. It's not really about the competition, in my opinion. And there's a quote that says, you know, it doesn't really matter. Someone, I don't remember who said it, but it was like, if you're going to do something that everyone's doing, so what? It basically says, if you feel like God put you in that area for that time, then there's room for you. So that's literally what I think about at all times, because comparison is like the thief of joy. So I really try not to compete with anyone or watch anyone either. So I agree with David.
One more question before the break for both of you guys. So both of you are people of faith. We haven't talked about it, and it's funny, I don't really try to talk about faith or religious backgrounds on the show, but it always comes up, so we have to just address it. David, you mentioned that you like to take the picture and show the God in people. And Jay, I know your background as a singer and as a songbird for churches, and David also goes to church. And when it comes to photography, and you both mentioned it a little bit in terms of your faith, what does it mean when you say the God in people, right? What does it mean when you say that you want to show or highlight that through photography? And what do you as a photographer think that looks like? Because I think it can be different for a lot of people, right? It can be, I don't want to say what it can be, but what do you think it is, if you can expound on that a little bit before the break?
For me, when I say that, it's because not just the God in people, but also the beauty. You know, I am training my eye to see the beauty in everything and everyone. So when I go into a family portrait session, even if they don't believe in God, I do. So what I'm trying to do is elicit the responses from people that show not only the family connection, but the connection to the Creator. Whatever you believe the Creator is, I believe it comes from God. So that's why I use that word. But there is nothing like seeing, you know, that the spirit of a person, whether it's coming through their eyes or their facial expression or their smile, and the connection between people, especially in a family session, or a maternity session, or whatever it is, you know, that is just life. And to me, that represents God.
You have any thoughts on that, Jay?
For me, it's definitely in those moments, or in like moments in sessions where you see that person light up, or you say something, and you can just have a conversation with this person while you're shooting them, and you know, you'll say like, you know, you really have a talent for this, and in terms of models, of course. But when I see people light up, it's just, it does something to me, because I think everyone has joy inside. It's like David was saying, how, you know, photography brings joy out of him, you know, in a time where, you know, he was in sadness and things like that. I feel like, especially for this year, the whole pandemic thing, to be able to shoot people and see them light up and show them the picture, you know, in the moment, and they're like, yo, you made me look like, you know, a star. And to see them light up, I definitely feel that joy radiating off of them. And that isn't just any regular thing to me. I definitely see the God in that. When we can come together, make something happen, and we both feel joyous after. And it's literally like, I'm just taking pictures of you and you like them, but it feels like more is happening. It's a healthy exchange of something bigger. And I definitely feel that a lot in a lot of my sessions. So yeah.
Folks, if you're just joining us, episode 35 of the Be More Today show, we're here with David Francis, owner of David Francis Photography, and he is sharing with us his journey from TNT to the U.S. and abroad. He's been everywhere. My co-host for today is Jaleesa Watts. She is also a photographer, up and coming, Jaleesa Watts Photography. And David, I'm curious because you, my friend, and I have been through so many things together, from our Spartan excursions to our dance excursions and church and everything else. And you've seen our progression with this Be More Today thing from its inception to now. So I'm curious, as the 35th person on this show, what do you think the phrase Be More Today means to you?
That's easy. Be More Today means to do as well as you can today to be better than you did yesterday. Simply put, that's what it means to me.
Yeah. I think a lot of people get bogged down by the concept of the more, right? Because it's we can all do stuff, you can always just keep the common ground and do the minimum, but doing more doesn't mean that you have to do extra. It just means you have to just do, a little better than you did yesterday. And, whether you're talking about physical therapy or even photography, learning photography, it's a journey. It's literally a step-by-step process to become great. No one becomes great off the bat. No one who has any kind of passion or any kind of drive comes out the gate amazing. Everyone has to put a little bit of work in. And that's basically what the concept is. So you hit it around the head. It's just a simple concept, but when we put those things into place consistently, we get a lot of stuff done. So David, as you know, and as Jay, both of you guys know, you both were at my book launch. You both were photographers for my parties, and you both know I wrote a book, Be More Today, a 40 Guide to a Better Version of You. And I'm curious, actually, for both of you guys, what's one thing that you wanted to start doing either this year that you started doing, or what's one thing you want to start doing for next year? I'm going to ask Jaleesa first.
I think the first thing I wanted to start doing this year and moving forward is being more consistent in things that I said I would do or start. Like, for instance, my photography business, I was basically in a state of insecurity, I guess, or fear to start a business. I'm like, this is serious. I have to make sure if I start this that I'm dedicated to sticking to it. And, I had this just do it mentality this year. So, being more consistent, definitely, to myself and to my dreams, aspirations.
David Francis?
Nice. In terms of photography, what I would like to start doing is aerial photography with a drone. And I got a little bit of a taste. I rented a drone, and I was in the Adirondacks, Vermont, and New Hampshire, chasing four colors, and I got to use it a little bit. And I think I'm becoming addicted to it. So I want to further that part of it. In terms of life in general, I think I just want to be kinder to people, to get to know people more, and not to be so much of a loner, to be a little more engaging. Realizing the times that we are living in and how short life really is. I think I need to grow in that area as well.
Yeah, no, that's deep. I hear that. And both of you guys, I agree with both of those things. So thank you so much for sharing. David, what's one thing you want to stop doing this year, or stop doing with the goal of it happening for next year?
There's nothing really that I want to stop doing. I think I've been on a path where the things that I wanted to stop doing, I've at least made some progress towards that. And just moving forward, I just want to grow. Yeah.
Jay, your thoughts?
Something I want to stop doing. Maybe being so nervous. I get really nervous a lot. And I'm at a point where I push myself now, but I still feel like there's a lot of work to be done in that area. Yeah.
Okay.
That's pretty much it.
All right. We'll work on that. Maybe David can show you how to have a calm demeanor in general, since he's one of the calmest guys I've ever met in my entire life. So yeah, we can get you guys to connect on that.
On that note, Jaleesa, I will say to you, I get nervous too before I do everything. And what I found is that little bit of nervousness, especially before you start doing a shoot, is what fuels you to do the best job that you can do. So I wouldn't recommend getting rid of all the nervousness, because that nervous excitement will drive you to do the best.
Got you. Okay.
Words. And one goal that you have for, we'll say 2021, and I'll have Jaleesa go first.
Goals. I think a goal that I have for the upcoming season, I guess, is to, how can I word this? To be more comfortable in myself, to be more confident in myself. I can say I'm only 22, so that pretty much explains why I haven't really mastered that yet. But I do wish I was a lot more comfortable in my own skin, you know?
Yeah, hear that.
Yeah.
David Francis?
One of my goals, which I've been carrying for a couple of years, but certainly this year has interrupted everything, or a lot. One of my goals is to be published in a national magazine. Or even international. I don't want to go as far as to say National Geographic, but it is in there somewhere. But that's it.
Let's say it, David. Why not? Say it, man. National Geographic. You guys are missing out. David Francis Photography. Let's go. Say it, David. David, any final tips you want to share for, and I'm going to make this twofold. Tips you want to share with Jaleesa, given all that you've known about her for the last 15, 20 minutes, and her aspirations for photography. And then for anyone who's aspiring to be, where you are in terms of your work, and particularly with nature, and your travel exploits, people who are basically trying to do what you've done. Any tips you want to share, advice for those two groups?
For Jaleesa specifically, I would recommend finding a photography mentor. If you haven't already, doing some internships from people that you admire. If they're, in that type of thing available, apprenticeships or whatever, your growth will be exponential if you do that early, right? I am pretty much a loner, so a lot of stuff I not necessarily learned on my own, because I had some good mentors along the way. And that has been the thing that has made all the difference. Finding a mentor and finding someone to critique your work. It's not going to be easy, but the advice that they give you in terms of everything is going to be invaluable in terms of your growth.
Right. Okay.
So in terms of just the general population, in the words of Brian Peterson, just keep shooting. If you aspire to be a photographer, then just shoot. It doesn't matter if you're shooting for publication. It doesn't matter if you're shooting for yourself or whatever catches your eye, just take a picture, whether it's with your phone or with your camera or anything else. Sometimes, even just with your own eyes, just notice what it is that you like, what you don't like, about different scenes, about different people. Notice the lighting, and just record everything. Record everything that you can draw from when you're actually taking pictures. Record everything in your brain, but just keep shooting. The more you shoot is the better you will become.
I have one more question actually for you guys, and this is off the cuff. So, when I was in high school, I did a photography class, and we were in the dark room, and the exposures, and seeing the pictures come to life over periods of time. It was a great experience, and it was very, very exciting to be in that dark room. But now that things are so digital, which is clearly a great thing because quality can be enhanced and etc. David, I'm asking this really just to you because you've seen the scope and the spectrum of photography since its inception. What do you think the future is for photography? Now that we've gone from darkroom exposures to the digital realm, what's next? What's next for the world of photography?
Oh, I wish I knew. I would be there right on the cusp. However, I think as time moves on, video will be more important than still pictures. The world moves so fast, and there's so many photographers that it's, I wouldn't say difficult to distinguish yourself, because if you're passionate enough, the Bible says your gift will make room for you. So I'm not concerned about being the best that I can be. It may not be the best in the world, but I would say that it looks like things are transitioning towards video more than still photography. So if I had to guess, that would be the next frontier.
Gotcha.
Advances in video and video production.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, we will see how that all goes. I know that come what may, whenever there's an event, there's always a photographer there. So whether video takes over or not, everyone still loves pictures. And even my daughter right now, we found this camera and she has her hands on it. She's taking pictures of everything.
Nice.
Whether if it's in focus or not, if it's not an iPhone, she actually focus on it, but she's taking pictures of everything. So I think whether video takes over or not, it's going to still just be that thing that makes time stand still. Video is great because you can see what's happening and you can be there with the movement, but there's something so special about a still frame. Like you said, a moment in time where you have to put some thought into what may have been happening, into what someone may be thinking. In my last thought before we close out, there was a picture of this woman, and I forget what year for National Geographic it was. I think it was 99 or 98. They said it was this woman who was from either East Asia or somewhere, and she had a scarf over her head, and all you saw were her eyes. And then she was gorgeous. Just all you saw were her eyes and her face. And they didn't know where she was from. They didn't know what she was doing there, but they took a picture of her, and they couldn't find her after that. But her picture was so captivating that everyone made stories about who they thought she was and where she might have been from and what she was doing. And it was simply a still frame picture of this person that no one knew about. So video can't do that. You know what I mean? Video can't do that at all. Only pictures can do that because it makes our imagination go crazy trying to figure out what the backstory is and what actually happened and what someone was thinking. So both of you are doing things I think that will, in my mind, will never be replaced. Even though, like you said, the digital age continues to go on, I do think photography will always have its place in our society. So kudos to both of you for all you've done. David Francis, for all you've done. You, again, are incredible. And I'm going to make sure that we highlight all your work on our site. So thank you so much for joining us. David Francis, where can people follow you, connect with you on social media or otherwise?
They can certainly connect with me on Facebook at David Francis, which is my personal page, but where I post the most pictures. Also on Instagram at Dave Francis _photography. DAVEFRANCIS _ photography. I post a fair amount of the better pictures or the most popular pictures there as well. If anybody wants to email me, they can reach me at davefrancisphotography@gmail.com. And we can, if you have any questions or anything, you can reach me on all of those platforms and we will work it out.
Great. And our guest for today, for our Community Over Competition segment, Jaleesa Watts, where can people find you if they want to follow you as well?
Instagram, it's the same, literally the same thing as his, but my name, JALISAWATT_photography, Jaleesa Watt Photography.
Awesome. Awesome. Folks, these are two of the best in the game right now. And I'm always just happy that I can bring two people who are like-minded together to do great things. I hope that you guys will connect at some point in time. And you never know. Someone put me on to, I had a mentor when I was in school. I remember his name was Michael Plater. And when I didn't know what I was doing with my life, he was the one who really helped me to have a better path. And I don't know where he is now, but having a mentor is crucial. So like David said, Jay, if you need someone who's in that realm, whether it's David or somebody else, find that person and let that person at least guide you through your growth to where you want to be, because mentorship is the key. It is the key. Folks, that is episode 35 in the books right now. And don't forget our quotation from today, which is, life is like a camera. Just focus on what's important and capture the good times. Develop from the negatives. And if things don't work out, just take another shot. Like our guest today said, the still moments are what really matters. And finding or seeing the God in people or the beauty in people is what photography is all about. So let's not forget about that as we go through our regular days. If you have cameras or don't have cameras, we get so busy with life. So just take a minute, see what's going on, breathe, take a snapshot, even visually, throughout your day, and recognize that life is short and we should cherish every single moment that we have, because tomorrow is not promised. That's what photography means to me. So it means the same to my guests today as well. For those who've been following the Be More Today show, we are everywhere, folks. Like I said, 26 countries, and we are growing. So thank you so much for your support. We are on Facebook and Instagram, as you already know. And our website, bemoretoday.com, is live with all of our information for our book, our music information, and, of course, our podcast. If you want to subscribe to our YouTube page, we're on YouTube as well for our workouts. I've been putting out things every single week. So if you're looking for that workout to get you ready for 2021, go on the website now and check out what's going on. There's lots of things on there for you to get moving and grooving on. As always, our Strava page is live and is growing. So if you are a runner or a biker and you want a community to be a part of, join our Strava group, Be More Today, on the Strava app, and you can join us. You can see me, what I'm doing. And as you guys know, Be More Today is heard in 26 countries, but it's also available on Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Castbox, and Google Play. So continue to support us. We really appreciate it. To my friends and family out there for Be More Today, we love your donations. So keep those things coming. They make our engine keep running, and we can't do it without you. So we really, really appreciate your support. If you do want to contact us, Be More Today, that's Be More 2day @gmail.com is our email. And you can send us information about who you want to see on the show. Or if you want to connect with David or Jaleesa to see what's going on with them, email us there or on any of our social media platforms. I'll get back to you ASAP. The Words for Life podcast is growing, folks. The Words for Life podcast is live every single Wednesday with my boy, T. Farrell. So check out episodes every single Wednesday if you're looking for words of encouragement and inspiration. He does that every single week, and it is a great podcast. So check out his show and subscribe to his page, too, on YouTube. He's doing great things, and we continue to connect on all levels. And like I said before, folks, our Be More Today 5K starts January 1st, 40-day challenge. So you can see bemoretoday.com for more information on that. But registration will be starting ASAP. So if you want to make sure that 2021 is your year, because 2020 was not, make sure you go on that site and sign up with us for that. And that's all, folks. So as I always say, have a good day. Have a good night. Have a great life. And continue to take your steps to greatness to be the best version of you. Peace.
Living life with nothing to prove. I'm gonna be a better version of me.